So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our agency and my office, as well as some of the resources that we have available for you. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about how to use those resources. I think that'll help you in your discussions this afternoon. So we'll go ahead and get started. First of all, I come with a disclaimer. I am with the government. I'm not an attorney. And a lot of what I'm going to tell you today, the opinions I'm going to give you are my own and not necessarily those of the Bureau. So we are a newer federal agency. We were created back in 2011 as a kind of response to the financial crisis. We're a regulatory agency, and we regulate banks and other financial services just to make sure everybody's playing by the rules. We do supervision and enforcement, but then we also have our Office of Consumer Education and Engagement, and the idea is to educate people so we know how to make the right decisions and we're not relying on the banks or the financial services to play by the rules. They can't trick us. As part of that consumer education and engagement, we have several different offices. Heather, as she mentioned, she works in the Office of Financial Education that develops resources for all ages of consumers. And then we have several special population offices. We've got an office that focuses on service members and veterans. We have an office that focuses on students because student loan debt is such an issue. We have an office of they just changed the name of it, Community Affairs, which focuses on low-income and economically vulnerable population. And then our office, which is the Office for Older Americans, and we develop resources to help older adults over the age of 62. Although I like to call us the Office for All Americans, because how many of you here know someone over the age of 62? I think everybody, right? There's a couple of people that I know, and so it makes me extra passionate about my work because I don't like the thought that there are people out there trying to think up ways to take away the money that my parents saved their whole lives. My dad, lifelong military. They saved their money their whole lives. They just wanted to leave something for their children. And so the thought that there's people out there that are trying to trick him out of his money, I don't know how people like that sleep at night. So anyway, so we like to do what we can to try to protect older adults, not just from financial exploitation, but also other financial decisions that are out there. We've got a lot of good information about reverse mortgages. I know my friend from the SEC mentioned planning for diminished capacity. We actually coordinated with you guys on that guidance, and we have that guide available online. And at the end of my presentation, I'll tell you how to get a hold of all of our resources. So how do we help older adults? We do a lot of research, we do reports, we come out with consumer advisories, we come out with a lot of other resources that I'm going to go over today. And as Heather mentioned, we also do webinars, we come do presentations. We don't have a big team, but we try to get out and about and try to share the information and provide whatever support we can. So first I thought I'd talk a little bit about why we have an Office for Older Americans. Obviously, as we've talked today, there's a lot of different ways out there that people can exploit older adults. Well, actually anyone, but specifically older adults. And one of the biggest concerns is that the population of older adults is growing every day. Especially with the baby boomer population, I want to say, I think the statistic is like 10 million Americans each year are turning 62. So it's like we've got more older adults, so of course there's a bigger population that we need to make sure are educated and protected. And then I thought I'd talk a little bit about specifically rural issues. And one of the studies I found showed that that older adults comprise at least 20% in rural populations. So, and same with the rest of the country, that number is going to continue to grow. In fact, according to recent numbers, that number is the older population is actually growing at a faster rate in rural populations. For some reason, older adults are moving to rural areas and the younger adults are moving away. So that also creates some challenges for rural communities. And then the last statistic I had was that that it shows that although elder financial exploitation or elder abuse as a whole is very underreported anywhere, there's a study that shows that it's actually higher in rural communities. So people in rural communities are less likely, for some reason, to report elder financial exploitation. I get calls all the time. I know we were just talking about the IRS scams. You get people calling, and all they have to do is catch you at the wrong time. You're tired, you've had a bad day. Somebody starts telling you, hey, we're from the gas company, and you can get a refund. Can you just, confirm your account number? It's like, well, you're the gas company, shouldn't you have my account number? But when you're tired, you're distracted, you've got something going on, you may not always catch it. So anybody is at risk. But can anyone tell me why specifically older adults are more at risk? Many times they live alone. Yeah, that's very good. Isolated, lonely. A lot of them have dementia or other type, their diminished capacity. But some other reasons are they're trusting, they're polite. I know my mom, when I would visit, she'd get these phone calls and she would answer them and she'd say, I can't talk right now because I have company. Can you call back later? It's like, Mom, don't tell them to call back later. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they're selling. Just say, leave me alone. Or better yet, just don't answer the phone if you don't recognize the number. And yeah, somebody mentioned being lonely, isolated. Maybe they recently lost a spouse or a pet. And a lot of times, especially when the abuse involves a family member or a caregiver, they're afraid to report it, or they're at risk because they're relying on this person to take care of their finances. They're relying on this person to take care of them, so they're more at risk. And then who could be the abuser? Of course, I mentioned before, it could be a family member, it could be a caregiver, someone they know, and then of course there's the stranger abuse where you get the phone calls, emails, letters, you won the lottery, you won the grandparents scam, that sort of thing. So it could be anyone. So again, not to scare you, but anybody could be a victim, anybody could be an abuser, you just have to stay aware. And then some of the reasons why they don't report the abuse, I think we kind of talked about some of these reasons already. A lot of them are embarrassed or ashamed. Oh, how could I fall for that? Maybe it's a family member or caregiver. They don't want to get them in trouble, or this person's taking care of them, so they're afraid. They're afraid of maybe being declared incompetent. Oh no, if my family finds out about this, they're going to make me go in a nursing home. Maybe they're just in denial. A lot of times they do not think they were a victim of a scam. No, I won that lottery. I am going to get that money. Or no, my family member really needs that money and I need to help them. And sometimes it's just a lack of awareness. So that is actually a section out of our Money Smart for older adults. And as my colleague from FDIC mentioned, we worked with FDIC to develop this Money Smart for older adults. The main idea behind it is a Train the Trainer program where someone could take this information. You can download a PowerPoint, you download an instructor guide, and then you can also order, we have these handy dandy resource guides that you can order. And then these you would give to the participants if you were going to give a training. So it's a great resource. It's available in English and in Spanish. Everything is available free of charge, so you don't have to pay for any of it. You can order the resource guides in bulk. One thing I did want to mention, because we updated the content in our Money Smart program last year, I'll talk a little bit about what we added to it. So these are some of the module topics that they have in the resource guide. And it's got, just basically some of the common types of elder financial exploitation, how to protect yourself if you have a caregiver, to make sure you're not putting yourself at risk for when you have a caregiver, identity theft. We worked with FTC on that. and some of the other topics that are great besides the fraud and exploitation, it's got a good section on planning for unexpected life events, how to be prepared for disasters, with all the hurricanes and tornadoes. And so it's great to be prepared ahead of time. A lot of people grab their photos, they grab, their loved ones, but they don't think about what they need to have to protect their finances during times like that. So it's got a lot of good tips on that. And the great thing about the Money Smart 2 is it's totally customizable. You can, it's probably got, I think, about 3 hours of content in it. So of course you wouldn't want to do that all at once, but you could pull it out. Say you just want to do a section on grandparent scam. You just want to do the IRS scam. If you have like a half an hour, you can just pull a couple of the modules out and do that training. And then we also suggest incorporating a lot of other resources. As we've all mentioned, all of our resources are available free of charge. You can download them electronically. Ours you can order in bulk. So we definitely recommend pulling resources from other agencies, trusted resources that you can incorporate. And then that way you don't have to be an expert on elder financial exploitation, but you've got the resources there to at least point the people in the right way, in the right direction if they need help. So on this part, I just wanted to mention, these are some of the newer content that we added. We added a good section about the grandparent scam, which we just talked about earlier. There's the phantom debt collection scam, where someone starts calling you, telling you owe them money, and you don't. And then, of course, the fake IRS scam, fake charity scams, and mortgage assistance rescue. Hey, are you going into foreclosure? Here, let us help you. All you have to do is pay us this fee. So it's a lot of good information. It's got information in there about explaining what the scam is, how to avoid it, and, of course, what to do if you've become a victim. So I definitely suggest you check it out. So yeah, as I mentioned, there's the instructor guide, the PowerPoint, and the resource guide. And I wanted to mention too, all of the resources are in a 14-point font. This is a good resource not just to do a train the trainer, but there are other ways to engage. One way, it's great just to increase your own awareness. You're aware of the scams that are going on. If you have a family member or you have a client that comes in, it'll ring a bell that, hey, I heard about this, I read about this, I know I have some information I can share with you. You can share that awareness with your family, with your friends, at your church, at your whatever community group you might belong to. You could join an elder financial fraud prevention network. And I'm actually going to talk a little bit more. We have an initiative that we're doing where we're working to help. If you don't have a network in your area, we're working to help people create them. Or if you have one and want to expand it, we're working on doing that. You can just distribute these resources in your community. Maybe you can just put them in your lobby. Maybe you can, you're going to an event, you can just throw them out on a table. You can teach other people. You could share this information. Maybe you know someone that does go and give presentations or something like that. So those are just some of the ideas. Other suggestions, if you are going to do a presentation, you could always just identify an event that's coming up. For example, Older Americans Month is coming up in May. So if you wanted to try to create an event in your area, you could use some of our resources to do that. You could just reach out to people that are in nursing communities or something like this and share the information with them. I know a lot of senior centers and nursing facilities are always looking for reliable people to give a presentation, not just people that are there to sell things. Or you could just bring together a group of your fellow stakeholders, or create a convening, sort of like today, where you can just go over the information. So those are just some ideas for that. Another one of our resources I wanted to mention, I know you've all got one at your place, is our fraud prevention placemats. This has been a great program that we developed a few years ago. Basically, we come up with a different topic every few months. So these are placemats that senior centers, meal delivery services, even like banks and credit unions are ordering these. I mean, basically, I guess just to give them to their customers. But we try to keep the information fresh, so you all have a variety of the different types of placemats we have. The one I'm holding up happens to be one of our word game placemats that we did. These come in a bundle of three different types of word puzzles that you can use. We actually today will be announcing the release of our newest one about the fake IRS scam that's coming out. We've got one about romance scams. That's a big one. So we keep just trying to come up with new content. So again, these are all available. You can order them in bulk. These actually come in, I think, bundles of 100. So you can order them if your facility serves meals, or if it's something that you feel would be helpful to you. I hope you'll take advantage of that. We also developed a guide that if you are at a facility where you're serving a meal and you have the opportunity to actually provide a lesson about elder financial exploitation, we developed a guide to help you do that. So, and those are available at our website, consumerfinance.gov/placemats. And then the next resource I'm going to talk about is our Managing Someone Else's Money guides. These are this is probably our the publication that we get orders of the most. These are everyday guides that we develop for people that find out they're going to be a financial caregiver for a loved one or a friend. Now, hey, you're going to be power of attorney for Uncle Joe. And when you find that out, you're not really given like any set of instructions. How do I do that responsibly? So we developed guides for each of the different types of caregivers. These are all available free of charge. You can download them electronically. You can order them in bulk. They're in English, they're in Spanish, so I hope you'll take advantage of them. I found it was funny because when we first developed the guides and I went home and I showed my parents, look at what we did. And my dad's, oh, that's great because you're our trustee. And I am. So I had to do some quick reading on that. So now I'm prepared. But it was also helpful because I saw, okay, my parents developed this trustee, but they hadn't really made any other arrangements. So it was a good red flag to continue that conversation into what other planning do we need to do. And then the last thing I was going to talk to you about is our elder financial exploitation prevention and response networks. Could we think of a longer name? We recently did a study across the country to look into this opportunity to do networks. And we found there are a lot of areas that don't have them. The areas that we found that did have them, we found that it was really helpful to them. It's helpful to the people that are working in the field. You bring together APS, police departments, financial institutions, all of them working together to help the older adult, instead of one agency just trying. APS can't do it alone. Police department can't do it alone. So the area, I know there was somebody here from area agencies on aging, they can't do it alone. So bringing those groups together to try to figure out how best can we tackle this problem in our community. So we've taken on an initiative where we go to different communities across the country and try to bring together these groups to see, can we do a network? If we did a network, what would we work on? So it's been a really, really popular project that we've been working on. We've done, I think we've visited 6 states so far: Montana, Florida, Tennessee, Oregon. I'm blanking out on the other ones. Anyway, a lot. And most of them have been rural communities. Oh, Montana was another one that was very rural. And Oklahoma. So, and one of the things that came out of the study that we had done, we came together a resource guide. I apologize, I didn't bring the resource guides with me, but it has just some basic information, again, about if you're interested in creating a network, how to do that. Or even if you don't have a network, ways that you can maybe enhance the work that you're already doing. And so at the end of my presentation, but there were a couple more things I did want to mention since I have a few minutes. One thing I wanted to mention that's another great resource that CFPB has, it's called Ask CFPB. And if you just go to our website, I think it's consumerfinance.gov/Ask CFPB. Anyway, it's a great resource. It's got over 1,000 questions about different financial services. So say you have some questions about a reverse mortgage. You just go on there, you search for reverse mortgage. It gives you all kinds of questions and answers that people have already asked about that topic. So it's a really good resource. And the other thing I wanted to mention is we do have our Bureau has a complaint function. So if there's someone that is having a problem with a financial service, and I didn't bring the list of all the different financial services, but it's pretty much everything you can think of: credit cards, mortgages, student loans, personal loans, auto loans, payday lending, even like cryptocurrency, which I'm still not up on that. But anyway, if you're having a problem with it, you can submit a complaint to us, and we act as kind of a go-between. We reach out to the financial service and say, this person has this problem, what do you say about it? And typically we get responses from the financial services within usually, I think, 60 days. So it's a great resource. I've included our website. That is where you can find out links to all of our different materials, how to order them, as well as the mailing address, the generic mailing address for our office, Older Americans at CFPB.gov. And then you have my contact information as well. So, okay, thank you. Thanks for being patient.